good afternoon to the Europeans, good morning to the Americans. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Brittany Fank. I hope I pronounce it well.
That's okay.
Brittany
That's good.
is a systems and operations consultant. So that to me is very original, and I'm looking forward to knowing more about what it is exactly that she's doing. So without further ado, Brittany, tell us a bit more about yourself, what it is exactly that you do, and
Mhm.
then also who do you work with?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here with everyone this morning in my time, afternoon for you. So a little bit about me. I am a systems and operations consultant, as she said before, and I've been in business for close to a year and a half now. I love working with creative entrepreneurs and service providers to really help them really just get very clear on their systems and their processes so that they're able to automate as many things as possible, and they're able to really live the life that they want by working less in their business and really focusing on their big vision for their business. So a lot of times we start our business to get away from our 9 to 5 job, or away from a corporate type of environment, and we don't crave that anymore. But we find ourselves working so much in our business when we first started that it becomes so frustrating and overwhelming for us to be able to see the big vision of working, a 20-hour work week or even less in your business. And I really help lots of different entrepreneurs to be able to do that by automating and really using their systems well in their business so they can step away and really relax and know that everything's taken care of, things are in place, and they're able to really enjoy more of their life. So that's my passion, is helping people to be able to do that.
Yes, that's great. And I think it's indeed very, very important because, as you mentioned, a lot of us, we go into entrepreneurship because we want freedom, time
Mhm.
freedom, location
Time freedom.
freedom.
Yes.
But we don't want to live a 9 to 5 so that we start working 80 hours a week in our business. On the
Hmm.
contrary, we want to work less. And I think we also want to focus on what we are good at. So, be it coaching or anything else, but what we really want to do and not worry about whether the systems are in place, whether the things are working in the background. And
Hmm.
yeah, as I would say, as soon as we can, then we want to delegate that automation, and we want to make sure that this is not going to cost us time. So
Right.
the first thing is, yeah, taking a VA, but I believe the work that you're doing is really, really needed to.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that it's even more critical to have systems in place, even if they're a work in progress, before you make your first hire in your business. Because once you get a new team member or subcontractor that you're bringing on in your business, even if it's just part-time, they need to know some sort of direction and guidance from you on what their tasks are going to look like, where they are going to go for certain things, what programs are you using, which ones do you not use. And they won't know any of that if you don't have any systems and video recordings or documentation written out for them to be able to really train on, to know the ins and outs of your business and what you're doing, what you're requiring of them. So it's really important early on that you just take a little bit of time and just document what you're doing. If you don't want to do that, or that's too time consuming, just turn on the camera and take a screen recording of you while you're working, and you're just going to say what you're doing while you're doing it, as if you were teaching your child or teaching your partner, someone in your family, how to do this task. And that right there is your standard operating procedure on how to do this thing. Name it correctly and put it away so that when you do get ready to hire someone, you have all of these resources to give them, and they'll be onboarded and know exactly what to do, and not feel as overwhelmed when you're bringing them on and trying to create systems as you go. It's a much smoother process.
That's already a very useful tip that you're giving us.
Yeah.
Because yes, I mean, documenting what we do and preparing, be it in video or preparing clear instructions,
Mhm.
it's always cumbersome for creative
It
entrepreneurs. And
is.
you mentioned you were working with creative entrepreneurs
Mhm.
and service-based. So we want to focus on what we do best, and this is never what we do best, to document
Yes.
our processes and so on.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's really a good idea just to, when you do something that you want to delegate, just record your screen, and indeed there are a lot of tools for that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
So do you also help the entrepreneurs get clear on what should be in their toolbox, or do you just?
Yeah, so we usually start from the very beginning and starting with their networking process. So if that looks like in-person networking or virtual networking or, something in between, because we're all kind of in this sort of middle space right now with COVID and everything. So
Yeah,
some people are able to go in person, some aren't. But wherever that is for you, is that you have a very simple system that you are using to just record the names of people that you're connecting with, and it's very simple. It's just basically a list of people that you're connecting with, so that you can follow up with them and that you don't forget, because we all get so busy, and if I'm not writing these names down, the people I'm connecting with, I will forget and not follow up with them, and 2 weeks will go by and like, who was that girl I was talking to? She was so great, I need to find her name. And I'm scrolling through my direct messages inbox, trying to find the name of that person to reach back out to them and say, hey, how's it going? How was your launch? Did you reach your goals and all of those things? So it's really just starting from that place of, staying a little bit organized with just jotting down the names of people you're connecting with. So you're able to follow up with them and really just build that relationship with them, so that they really become almost not necessarily, I mean, a friend, of course, but they really get to learn your style and who you are and how you could help them, and really see the potential in that if they are looking for someone, who offers your services.
yeah. I mean, even doing that, my God, would be a great improvement for me, because
Mhm.
when I was listening to you, I realized that I'm not really keeping track of that. I'm keeping track of a lot of things, but
Mhm.
yes, indeed, I would have to go through my DMs and all my saved posts on Facebook.
Conversations, yes.
Exactly, to
Mhm.
remember those things. So yeah, I even the first system you mentioned, I actually don't have it. I have a
That's
lot of systems, but
Yeah,
I don't
it's
have that
really
one.
just, yeah, just starting with that, and as you move on, and your next system would probably be your onboarding system. So once you are, talking with someone and you invite them to a sales call, they are super excited, they want your services, they're like, yes, this is amazing. Then what's the next step? And that whole entire onboarding process, to really welcome them and make them feel excited to work with you, give them the information that they need. If you need information from them, right, you're inviting them, you're giving them instructions on what that looks like and how to do it, and really make it as simple as possible for them, so that they are, really excited to work with you, and just overall, very glad that they made that choice.
Yeah, yeah, that's also a very important process. Amazing, my God, there's such a world out there that
It
I don't
is.
think about, that you're just bringing to us today. Wow. So, okay. So next question is, so the entrepreneurs that come to you, what's their problem, or did they, for instance, came to the conclusion that they need someone to get them, to help them get organized, or
Mhm.
what's their problem when they come to you?
Yeah, so I really work with clients in two different spaces. So those that are newer in business and are, just starting out, and they want to get those systems in place, fairly quickly early on in their business, because they know that they're going to grow, and they have big goals for their business. So they want everything to be really professional, really cohesive, and fitting with their branding all across the board. So that's, one of the types of clients I work with. And then the other is definitely businesses that are a little bit further along. So maybe they've been in business for a couple of years, but they've either really gotten clear on their niche and who they're serving, and they need to either rebrand or really just make their messaging fit their audience now that they know, I'm working with this type of client. I really need to make sure everything is consistent with that. And they're looking to really up level their systems that they do have by just adding in more automations, really making some fine-tune adjustments with things, and really seeing a dramatic result from that by just making a few adjustments to what they're already doing well and really improving on a few things. They're able to communicate better with their clients. They're able to communicate better with their team members, and really just solidify their process from start to finish and make sure that it's really rock solid.
Yeah. So I think what you do is really needed. It's
I
like
agree.
you're
It's not
like a
always something you
professional.
think of when you start a business, right? You're
Yeah,
like, systems operations, that sounds awful. I don't need that.
it sounds very techy,
It
but
does. It does.
completely. And some people are actually afraid by everything techy. So
Yes. I work with
yeah,
a lot of people that they run from tech. They're like, help me. I don't know. Tech, every time I touch it, it's not well.
yeah, I hear that a lot as well.
Mhm.
Luckily, I don't have a problem because of my IT background, and I'm really like, oh yes, something techy. Let
Yes,
me let me
exactly.
handle that. But yeah, no, it's definitely needed and very helpful to entrepreneurs so that they can
Mhm.
really focus on their zone of genius. So, what brought you to what you're doing now? Because you probably didn't start exactly doing that, right?
Right,
What's
right.
your story?
Yes. So my background is actually in education. I was a Montessori teacher for quite a few years before I switched, and my family made a move, a physical move from one state to another. And in that move, I had another child, so we had two children now, and my needs changed. I really wanted to stay home with her and not have to worry about putting her in a daycare system, and going through that again as I went through with my first son. So I had started looking and doing some freelance work for a few years before I made that transition, and tried a lot of things. What do I like, what's out there, and just really exploring this huge world of online businesses, not knowing it until I finally discovered it and was like amazed that there were all of these amazing people out here making money online, really helping people. And it was awesome, and just really eye-opening for me. So after trying a few things and really figuring it out, I decided to start my business as an OBM, online business manager. And from that point on, working in my business, I really refined who I wanted to work with, and not only who I wanted to work with, but the types of work I was doing, and knowing that my skills were in systems work and operations, and really helping people with that element of their business instead of all of the things like an online business manager does. So I really narrowed it down. And that's kind of where I've been at for the last, I would say, 6 or so months, really just focusing on that element, and really bringing that part of it to clients.
Okay, it's a very nice story, and it's funny, I think today is episode number 10 of the interview series,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I had quite a few teachers.
Oh,
Already.
really?
Yeah, and it's funny and I've been a teacher as well for a few years,
Oh,
and
wow.
funny how many of us finally end up in the online space and helping other people with different stuff.
Yeah, I've crossed paths with quite a few teachers, especially early on, because of that connection. And I always think it's funny how we always seem to find each other too in the online spaces. We're networking. Like, you were a teacher too. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, because I think you're probably number 4 out of 10, so it's already, like nearly half. So
Yes, for sure.
yeah, funny. Okay, that's great. So okay, so coming back to the people that you help, you said
Mhm.
creative entrepreneurs, and So
Service
what do you mean by
providers,
creative entrepreneurs?
creative entrepreneurs, and anyone who's a service provider. So mostly coaches, but also I've been working with a lot of doulas and midwives
Oh
in
yeah,
the, birthing space, someone who's a sleep consultant, really providing services to those moms. And I think that probably comes with the connection of teaching and having my background in child development too. I feel I'm very knowledgeable in that. I have all of my degrees and credentials in that. So it just kind of makes sense being able to help more moms in general. And I think that's been really fun. I've been working with a lot of bookkeepers lately, which has been really fun because I trialed out some bookkeeping when I was doing some freelancing work and realized it was not the best fit for me. But I do have some knowledge of that just because I was doing a little bit of work in that. So it definitely helps to kind of have a little bit of background knowledge in
yeah,
different
broad
types of
knowledge.
businesses.
Yeah,
Yeah, broad knowledge so that you're able to really custom build systems for people. It's not, none of the work I do is recycled and used in another business. It's all started from scratch based on the business owner, their goals and
yeah,
their skills. So I'm doing a lot of custom work, which is awesome because it really fits that person and their business because it's for them. It's not buy a template and here it is and that's
yeah, yeah.
yours, very custom. So it's been very fun to kind of create new things with them and see what we can create together. So it's
So
always
yeah,
fun.
every experience with a new client is like a new one and starting from scratch
Hmm.
again. Yeah, that's great.
It is,
I
yeah.
mean, it keeps it very diverse as well for you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, very fun
fantastic.
and always something new because there's rarely two businesses that are the same, even two in the same
Exactly.
industry. Working with
Yeah,
many bookkeepers or doulas, they all do things differently. Their business structure is a little bit different, the way that they think about things and their personality. So everything across the board usually comes out looking very different than the person before them, even if they are two of the same,
yeah, professional.
industry
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So your clients, so how long would you typically work with them for?
Mhm.
And how would the collaboration look like?
Yeah, so I work with clients usually between 4 weeks and 3 months. It really depends on how much work we are doing together, if we are setting up all of their systems or just one or two of their systems together and really kind of taking a look at that. I would say, anywhere the shortest project is usually about 4 weeks, and we usually end up working together for 3 months for those bigger projects where they're trying to tackle a few different areas of their business, just because it takes time to really implement things and trial them out. We do a lot of variations of things. So it's let's try out this for a couple of weeks. How does that feel? And if it doesn't feel good, then we go back to the drawing board and make those adjustments and try it out again. So there's a lot of trial and error in this process, and that takes
Yeah.
time in itself to see what is going to work for them, and really just fine tuning everything towards the end of the project and making sure that everything is running smoothly and testing it out as if I was their client, really
Okay.
going through the process. And that's probably my favorite part because it's like bringing everything together. We've worked together for a certain amount of time at this point, and we've got all these systems in place. Let me test it out, see how it feels from a client side, not knowing, as much of their business and kind of stepping out, looking in. Um, and that really makes a big difference, I think, when you can test through it that way and really put your client hat on versus your operations hat and really be able to see things in a different angle. Really definitely helps at the end.
Okay, and then they have systems that are perfectly integrated with each other
Mhm.
and running smoothly, and processes that are documented as well. So then if they need more help or another VA or anything as well, then everything is already ready
It's
to
already in place. Yeah, they have
get somebody new
systems
in.
already in place to share with their team and really build on as their business grows. But they have that foundation in place to come back to and where they're going to go to put things and what everything looks like behind the scenes. So they are very clear on that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Um, okay, I think we get the picture of what you do now, and how it looks for the people working with you. So that's great, and that's really interesting. And again, you're really needed in this world. What you do is really needed. So, i- are there tips that you could give us? Well, you could give the audience and maybe myself as well. You
Yeah.
know, if I have all those systems but no integration, no automation, where would I start and what could I do to get it better?
Yeah, I think something that I've been doing a lot lately, and I think this really helps creatives and just visual learners in general, is using a tool called a mind map.
Oh
And you
yeah, I
can
love that.
Google that and find, free software for that. I use ClickUp as my project management system, and there's a mind map option to add on as well. So I've been using that to really just map out my process. So whichever thing it is that you're looking to really record, whether that's your lead information when you're just talking and connecting with people in the beginning of the sales process, if it's your onboarding process, if it's your offboarding process, if it's, a follow-up process or anything else really, it's just sitting down at that mind map and just writing it all out. So if someone does this, they book a call, if that's the very first step in your process, what happens? Do they get a confirmation email? Are you telling them more about your business? Are you sending them to your website? It's just thinking through all of those steps and writing it all out. And once you have that written out, either in a mind map or on a whiteboard or just piece of paper somewhere is good place to start. You can, I would suggest, is giving it to someone else, another entrepreneur, a friend or something, and having them read through it and see if it makes sense to them, if they have questions about it, if there's anything they could think of that would help them understand something. If there's any certain
Yeah,
questions that are coming up along your process, like, I don't understand this, what word is that? Is it a lot of times we tend to use industry specific terms that our clients have no idea what we're talking about. So if they're looking at your process and they're like, what does this word even mean? Then you've already lost your
yeah.
client, and you just welcome them. So they have no idea what that word is. And now they already have a question for you, and they had just signed the contract with you. So that's not a good feeling to have, is I just signed, but I don't even know what we're doing right now. So really giving it to them and just asking for some advice on that, I think, is really helpful.
Okay, no, that's a very good tip, and I love mind maps. I use them all the time with my clients as well
Mm-hmm.
because I think it helps them, in my
Yeah.
case, to have that big picture vision of what they want to
Right.
accomplish with their business.
Mm-hmm.
So I use Simple Mind on my Mac, but I agree with you.
That's
There are
right.
many tools you can use,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes some. I think at the beginning it took me some time to get used to using mind maps, but now I just love them and I use them like all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I agree with you to give that to somebody else just to check, be it your partner or a friend, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
or another entrepreneur, um, to check that it all looks okay for somebody who doesn't know the business. Yeah, completely.
Right. Exactly. That's, I think, the biggest key is you want it to be someone who has no idea of your business. And usually our family doesn't, they all like, what do you do again? So usually that works. But if they do know, give it to somebody else, just because that outside perspective is so important to see if we're communicating clearly in our messaging all across our process. And if there's any adjustments we need to make to really make sure that we're speaking words that our clients would understand, or someone who has no idea what we do would still understand what we're conveying to them.
Yeah, yeah, completely. Very, very good idea that we can start with, definitely.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Would you have another tip for us?
Yeah. Let's see. I think in general, just with your processes, is a lot of times I see people that are just, they don't know where to start and they're really overwhelmed with it. So that's why I always try and say, go back to the beginning. Like, what are you doing in the very beginning of your process, and to me, that's your leads. It's really starting with your connections. Who are you connecting with? Who are you bringing into your world? And what are
Yeah.
you saying to them? So if you are not being consistent and you're not showing up in one place, whether that's, Facebook, Instagram, a networking group somewhere, then people don't know you exist. So that's like the very, very first thing is, are you showing up consistently? Are you networking with people often? Are you keeping track of those leads so that you can follow up with them? And then are you following up? And if you're not doing those things, the absolute first thing that you can do right now to just start by putting a super simple system in place for you that works well. So it doesn't have to be reaching out to 100 people every day, because I know there's coaches out there that have a specific number for that, but it has to feel good to you and you have to sustain it long term. So
Yeah,
if
completely.
25 people a day is insane to you, then don't. Then do, 5 or 3 or 2 or 1 even. Just starting to get that habit of, I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to connect with at least one person every day. I'm going to follow up with someone every day, and that's it. And you can build on that and really get that foundation level of, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going to build my business, and being able to have the system in place for that, I think is, no matter where you're at in business, just taking a look at your current process. And if you're doing that every day, if you're not, how can you improve on it and make it really fit your life, so
Yeah.
it's not the other way around? As like we talked about in the beginning, it's that time freedom, and being able to do these things on the go is really important. So maybe it's downloading an app to help you stay accountable with that and remind you, hey, it's time to send out your message or check your inbox, and being able to use technology to help us be on the go and do all these other things in our life, and just stay organized.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it. I mean, consistency is key.
Hmm.
If we want to become visible and to get
Yes.
leads and to get clients from them, then we need to show up regularly. Indeed, completely. So that's
Hmm.
what we all should do. And I think for some people, it's also it's a mindset shift.
It is.
For the technology as well, to see
Hmm.
technology not as a big thing that you have to be afraid
That's
of, but
bad or
on the
scary or
contrary,
anything.
is
Right.
something that at the end of the day is there to help you and to help you become more efficient
Hmm.
when you when used properly. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If you are afraid of that, and you don't have a good feeling about technology, then go to someone who doesn't feel that way, whether that's you, me, someone else who enjoys technology, and ask them or have them help you. When you learn yourself, it definitely really provides you benefits throughout the rest of your business, because you now have this skill set that you can use. Or, for people that don't want to go that route, they don't want to learn anymore, they want to just stay kind of fighting technology for whatever reason, then you need to invest in someone who can do that for you.
Yeah,
So put
definitely.
your dollars towards a great VA who can take over all your tech, and you don't have to ever touch it again in the rest of your life if you don't want to. But make sure that she or he has the skills that they need to really use tech wisely in your business, so that you're not, becoming, a workaholic in your business, and you are able to scale back and really fit that vision you had when you started your business.
Exactly, the time freedom and the
Yep,
location freedom, and
that's it.
and
So we're all here
be
for.
busy with things you like. Exactly.
Hmm.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, that was really interesting, and to me, like a whole new world opened in front of my eyes.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy that I got to interview you today, and I
Same.
want
This was
to thank
great.
you very much for that.
Thank you.
And so for people who would like to reach out to you, then I'll put your details in the comment of the video. And yeah, so if anybody needs some help with systems and operations, Brittany is your girl. So
Perfect. Thank you.
thanks again very much. And well, I wish you a great rest of the week, everybody. And I see you next week for the next interview. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye.